Welcome to Lykken on Lending, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of the mortgage industry. Your host, David Lykken, bringing you the latest insights, trends, and updates from the world of mortgages. Whether you're a seasoned industry veteran or just getting started, this show is your go-to source for all things mortgage. Let's get started. This is Lykken on Lending. Now your host, David Lykken.
Listeners, joining me today is Colin Gazinski of Finastra. He is the magic, the guy behind the curtain that makes everything work so well there. They've got a wonderful team. I don't want to take anything away from all the ones, but this is the guy that really makes this thing work. And I wanted to get Colin on today to talk about some of the things that he's seeing in the marketplace. They have a strong customer base that's based in the financial institutions. We have a lot of our listeners who are financial institutions. And also we have a lot of IMBs, independent mortgage bankers. So I think it'd be good to hear Colin's perspective of what he sees going on in the market and his perspective. They are an advertiser of the podcast, and we're grateful for that. And that does get them privileges of coming on and sharing with them. But every time I sit down with Colin at any of the Finastra events, he's just one of those guys I want to spend more time with. He's this kind of quality human being. So, Colin, good to have you here, friend.
Thanks for having me.
I'm
happy to be here.
I'm glad you're here very, very much. Just real quickly, we've had you on. This is your second or third time we've had you on, I think. But what I want to do is talk about a little bit about your background. So those that have not heard your previous bio that you have can give us a little bit of what is it that you do at Finastra? It's a huge company.
It is, yeah. So my role is a lead solutions consultant.
Lead solutions consultant. Okay. Get that on your business card.
I assist our sales team with the demoing of the solution, just answering the technical questions related to specifically MortgageBot, but I do cover a few of our other lending products as well. I've been with Finastra for about 13 years. Prior to that, was a loan officer using MortgageBot, as well as a number of our other competing solutions, Encompass and Calyx and Byte even for a little while. So
I'm all in.
I do, yeah. I've been looking at MortgageBot specifically for about 16 years in a row. Every day, this is a solution that I work in. But I've been boots on the ground, originating, processing in this industry, know it inside and out. It's obviously changed and continues to evolve. The process, the people, the steps involved stay the same. We're moving with the times, and where technology comes in. And this is a big part of my contribution, is just alerting these prospects and existing customers to what can be done when this is leveraged correctly.
Yeah, and you really help people do just that, leverage it correctly. Because I think each technology solution has its pros, its cons, its merits, its drawbacks, and what it does well and what it covers and doesn't. And so what I'd like to have you do is just give us your take on the landscape of technology, especially as we're seeing AI coming in. Colin, especially having that many years of perspective, give us your thoughts. Where is this market? Where is technology, specifically loan origination technology, been, and where is it heading, and what is the rate of change?
Yeah, I feel, especially over these last 3 to 5 years, the rate of change is pretty rapid, right? We are seeing a lot of new companies in the space. We're seeing a lot of change within legacy companies. I feel our customers' demands have changed and continue to shift. I feel over the last 12 to 18 months specifically, there has been probably more financial institutions that are hesitant to invest or cautious about investing in their mortgage software just due to maybe lower volumes. And maybe that speaks to a big part of Finastra's customer base, community institutions, banks, credit unions. Many lenders have been hesitant just to spend money while the revenue streams are under pressure, right? We just haven't seen the volumes that we were in 2021. And so this is a stark comparison from where we were. I feel, though, status quo also is our biggest competitor. It's easy to stay with what you're doing. It's easy to go unchanged. And a lot of times in these conversations, these demos, these discoveries, we have people that have been with these institutions for decades, and they're influencing some of the decision makers as to what direction to go. Now where I feel seeing within the financial institutions just a new generation of leaders that have recognized the importance of leveraging this technology. And in the 10 years that I've been doing this and helping our sales team with these prospects, you're seeing an older generation of leadership getting phased out a little bit. And the new generation is certainly very well aware of how important it is to be heading down that digital transformation. I feel the customer expectations are always changing and has changed, especially over the last 5 years with just accessibility to applications online. AI, as you mentioned, is something that every institution is thinking about and looking for a solution that provides that. From my perspective in my seat, which is one perspective of many, I think that we're in a very interesting time right now. We have a lot of very curious consumers out there, both customers of ours and then their customers. They see how easy it can be to do this job if this technology is leveraged correctly, but it does take some open-mindedness, and you have to invest in it. You have to have a team that's willing to undergo this change. I've worked in institutions where I've gotten those emails saying, hey, we're switching our system of record, and everybody kind of groans and moans a little bit. Nobody's interested in the change at first, but usually these are great changes. And with where the technology is heading, I don't think the need to have to rehire over the last couple of years where teams have been ran thin. I think it is possible to do more with less if this technology is leveraged correctly. And again, a lot of competition.
Yeah, I think you have a unique perspective on whatever system it is. And you've used so many of them, all the leaders out there over the years.
Sure.
It is leveraging it. So get into explaining the leveraging. I think a lot of people are saying, are we using our technology to the full extent? Are we? And I think that's what you mean by leveraging. So expound on that just a little bit, because I want to make sure people are getting the word leverage and the depth of what you mean there.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of my job is working with our existing customers as well, because you get into a technology and it's easy to get complacent in whatever you're doing, right?
Yep.
And so I feel institutions, they have jobs outside of running these systems. And in most cases, especially with MortgageBot is a low-code, no-code solution, right, where you don't need a ton of IT dependency as other solutions might. The people that are the admins of this solution are your underwriting managers, your processing managers, your operations people, and they have jobs outside of managing these solutions. And that's to continue to bring in more business and facilitate the process. And so it's easy for an institution and the admins of those institutions to get maybe left behind, or not left behind, but they might fall behind in terms of what solutions are capable of doing as a fintech.
That's a really good
constantly,
point.
Making changes and updates to these solutions. And if you're not paying attention to these release notes, if you're not attending these product update calls, how would you know that this new functionality is available? So a lot of what I do is coming in and working with our account executives to meet with our existing customers and say, hey, did you know that this version was available and this change that is at no cost is available, and running through all of the roadmaps and talking about, again, what we've updated within the solution. And so it's an enlightening experience from my end, because I get to see our customers and our team on our side just come together to really get the most out of what they're using and paying for, which is an important part of the process, I feel like.
One of the things we're focusing a lot on, again, is AI, artificial intelligence. It's here. It's coming on almost like a tsunami rate of washing over so much of the tech process. I want to get your thoughts on that, starting with robotic process automation, RPA, and then going into predictive. Kind of get your perspective. And in doing this for a lot of the people that we've covered this before, but I want it from Colin's perspective, because I love how you articulate some of this.
Sure. Yeah, it's certainly been the focus when we jump on these calls with new customers, especially. Hey, what are you guys doing around artificial intelligence? What do we have to offer? And Finastra has continued to develop functionalities around data extraction, validation, and automation and workflow, right? I think that's probably the biggest and most important component and offering of AI in the mortgage operations technology at this point. There's, of course, decisioning, there's chatbots, there's fraud detection, there's pricing functionalities that AI can assist with. But I think from the Finastra side, most specifically, we focused on how do we reduce the time that a processor and an underwriter are going to take to do their job, right? As you are getting documents in and validating and verifying this information, does it match what the application had on it, be it the customer completed it on their end or the loan officer took that information. And we've partnered with LoanLogic's LoanBeam for those that aren't familiar.
Yes.
We have brought in some of their functionality with LoanBeam Tax. And then we've also built alongside with them our workflow automation, which basically just says, hey, this is what the applicant said they have in assets. And now that we've got a bank statement, is that correct? We've got a side-by-side comparison that reconciles and then eliminates okay, I see this on the document. Now I have to go to the IRLA to update it. And all of those actions take time. That time adds up. So that's really where we focused a lot of time and attention. We are moving towards AI-driven chatbot first, actually, for our internal clients, and support. While you're a processor or an underwriter working within the LOS and you have a question on functionality, one of the next big things that we're offering is the ability for our users to communicate with our team and the AI behind that to remedy some maybe functional challenges that they might be encountering on a day-to-day basis.
Are you seeing banks and financial institutions they've been slow to adopt. The mortgage industry generally is just slow to adopt. I mean, we're archaic times, but the financial institutions take that to another level typically. But are you seeing a shift within the financial institutions? I'm saying this specifically. I want you to speak to the IMBs that think they have the advantage over the banks right now, because I'm seeing a trend. Banks are picking up and rapidly adopting and not going to be left out.
Yeah, I am too. I think there was a little bit of a period of time within the last 2 years that there was some hesitation. And I always try to encourage prospects and clients that I'm talking to look beyond the buzzwords. And the theme and idea behind it is great, but does it make sense for you and what you're looking to do within the process? And so I think helping institutions and those leaders that are making these decisions to bring in exactly where this fits into their process is going to be important, because a solution like us can come in and just throw all of these possible functionalities and automations towards an institution, and they might appreciate still some manual parts of this process, right, that they want to hold on to. And I think there's certainly a shift in the community institutions being a little bit more receptive to this. The larger institutions, as always, right, they've got the money to do it, so they're going to be a little bit ahead of the curve. The community institutions are looking at the market share that those organizations have and their processes, at least how they advertise, how quick and efficient they are, and wondering, how do we get there? And that's our job on this side, to bridge that gap as much as possible, but make it make sense.
Have it make sense. What we're seeing as far as vendor selections, especially when it comes to AI vendors, is I talked about on the podcast on Monday that we were just recorded this Monday the 17th. I just want to make sure we're recording this on the 18th, and this will be aired probably next week. So I want to make sure we got the right program when I reference back to our podcast that we talked. But we talked a lot about AI, and there's 4,000 new companies formed in AI. It's, oh my gosh, how do we pick? So give us some wisdom on discerning the selecting of an AI vendor. What recommendations did you have, Colin?
Yeah, it goes back to figuring out what inefficiencies within the process.
There you go.
Are you looking to solve?
What are you trying to address? What inefficiency? Yep. That's what it has to be focused on. I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah, what are the pain points in what you're doing today around that? How do you make that process better, reduce the margin of error, reduce the turn times? And what about your process in that is lacking currently? And that's our job, to pair those problems or those pain points to what we have to offer. And I think a lot of it does come down to certainly the back office right now, the operations folks, which is always an interesting dynamic and challenge, because we have to come at this from a non-threatening way, depending on who we have on these calls and in these meetings. Because if I'm a processor that's been doing that job for 25 years and I've got my way of going about getting a loan from A to B or A to C, and all of that is comfortable to me, somebody like me could come in there and turn their world upside down. And so we want to be really careful about, again, how we phrase it. And it is about doing more with less. And we're not here to take necessarily any jobs away, but to make your process smoother and reduce the margin of error through these types of technologies.
One of the things I'm noticing is a general resistance to people wanting to adopt these changes. And so they resist the change that's inevitable, and it's happening at their own peril. And so whether it be just starting with AI and learning how to use ChatGPT and personalizing it, there's so many things you can do as an employee for this wave that's coming. And if you fail to do that, then you may find yourself a bit as a dinosaur and out of not only that function or out of that role that you're in, but out of a job. It's really important. Give me some examples of people that you've seen who have started out dubious or questioning about this whole trends that are going on, but have really come on strong and have gone through a transformation of such, and now have really because there are some great stories on that.
There are, yeah. And we have a couple clients that I can recall speaking with in the last 2 years and talking about some of these plans and showing a roadmap and showing mock-ups of new designs and functionalities in the system, only to be greeted with a very underwhelming kind of response. That's great, but we're not there yet. I feel, of course, it does depend on the institution you're talking to, and again, their leadership and their willingness to leverage this, right? Like we're talking about. But I've got a couple instances where within the last 24 months, you have seen this get too big to ignore. And
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's out of its bag far enough to where at one point in time, it might have been a little bit more common to say, hey, that's just not how we do business right now, or we're not ready for that. I don't want to fix it if it's not broken. And now you're seeing certainly more FOMO, right?
Yeah.
Fear of missing out.
The fear of missing out. Exactly. Yeah. So good.
And so we're here to carry on and elaborate in those conversations. Again, it needs to make sense for these institutions as they invest in this. Really are going to benefit them the most. I don't think every aspect of AI and what's being marketed out there. MBA, you were there. Out of all those booths, there were probably 30% of them were some form of AI functionality. And it is, from a consumer's end, really hard to discern what is actually going to help us out in this process. And I think with most of the large competitors of ours, the other fintech solutions, they're either partnering with the right integrations to maybe eliminate the need for a customer to go out there and explore and find their own. I think us and Compass and a number of the other kind of large competitors out there have already created the framework and the integrations with partners that know what they're doing, right? With us and LoanLogix, it was a no-brainer. We knew what they offered and how it would fit into our solution. So we make the decision-making easier for our customers in picking those partners and continuing to just be open-minded, listening to our customers. Hey, we've seen this solution out there. Does it make sense for us to create an API to it? Those are all things that we're constantly evaluating. I would say, if I can offer any advice to institutions, trust in the guidance of your fintech providers in this area, right? I think everything is meant to be easier. We're going to try to make the process of obtaining and leveraging some of this stuff easier for you as a customer.
That's really good. As we wrap this up, I want to get your perspective on the future of where technology is going. What is the next wave of business that you see impacting institutions, or actually the whole industry?
Yeah, from a technology standpoint, I feel that this is certainly a big part of it. How much of the manual process can we eliminate? I think the customer experience is always a focus as well, and creating better, smoother, easier applications. But you look at some of the ones, you look at MortgageBot point of sale, you look at some of the other competitors here in the space, and it's pretty darn easy at this point, right? You're taking an ERLA or a 1003, which used to take 30, 45 minutes to manually complete, and we can have an application done in 10, 15 minutes. Yeah. And I think from that end, there's always going to be improvements and more customer self-service efforts allocated and ideas in that way. I think the back office is really where we'll see a lot of innovation and tools and bells and whistles coming within the next couple of years. Because again, a lot of our customers, a lot of these prospects, a lot of these institutions have thinned their staff, right? They've reduced staff and personnel. And you can truly, while we want to keep this in a non-threatening kind of manner to the legacy employees, you can do more with less, right? You count on your solution to be that loan officer. If you have your point of sale set up, you can use the AI functionality that's within a lot of these solutions to verify and validate as the processing and underwriting takes place. So I think we're going to see probably a lot more institutions just look to really beef up what they're using currently to keep up with efficiencies, reduction of turn times. I think everybody wants to be on that general path and doing more with less, right?
Yep. Yeah. It's so exciting to see what is developing. There's the ROI, then there's the ROT, the return on time. These are all the things that we're all looking at, and the importance of the top tier support and innovating with AI, integrating that in as much as we can. You talk a lot about building trust and transparency. That's one of the things, Colin, you do extremely well with your customers. They trust you. When I go to these events, and you just got your fan base all around you because of how you take care of it. Of your customers. That. I really appreciate it. Colin, it's always fun to sit down with you and chat. I appreciate you taking the time to come on today and share your insights, especially as we're seeing this fast evolving world. And you're sitting right there in the catbird seat and from Finastra's standpoint. And I really appreciate your thoughts today. Thank you for being here.
Anytime.
You've been listening to Lykken on Lending. Our passion is to bring you the latest insights, trends, and updates from the world of mortgages. So on this show, if you're a seasoned industry veteran or just getting started, it's your go-to source for all things mortgage. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll be back soon. Take care, and we'll see you next time on Lykken on Lending.